Good morning, students. I'm back with your series second chapter, that is Understanding Secularism, part 2. Right? Today we will see why it is important to separate religious from the state. See, students, we have seen in the previous lecture that in our India is a democratic country, and we have so many states with so many different languages and different religious people residing in our country, right? So in a democratic, that is a it is not that it is very important to separate religion from the state, right? You cannot have a particular religion or particular religious people residing in a one state. You cannot keep them binding in to stay, or you cannot force that person to stay in that particular state only. You cannot tell them that if you are Gujarati, you have to stay in Gujarat only. No, dear students, it is not allowed, because in a democratic country, you are free to move each at any corner of the country. Either you have a good job opportunity in Kerala, you can shift to Kerala also. If you have a good opportunity, or if you want to study for the further education, then you can shift to another city, say Delhi, say Chennai or Bengal, anywhere where you find your opportunity. So it is not that. So you have to separate from the state. That is why it is important to separate religion from the state. Now, that is a correlation. You cannot force someone to do something. In our country, in a democratic country, you are free to do whatever you want to wish, what you want to study, what you want to do business, what religions you follow. As we have seen in the fundamental rights, you are free to do whatever you want. Means in correlation, you cannot force someone to do something, right? So that is an important. Now we have two case studies in our this chapter. First is there is a government school. See, in government school, children, they are not allowed to celebrate particular specific religious festival in the government school. Yeah, in private schools, as we have a private school, we celebrate Ramzan special assembly we are having. We have Eid special assemblies we are having, right? So we have a certain assemblies or certain programs, certain festivals which we are celebrating in our school, right? But in government school, not any one particular religious are being targeted or not allowed to celebrate any particular religious festival other than the national festival. Only and only national festival are given more important in government schools, right? Now, so that shows that in government means our government is basically, they are forced that nobody should be biased in our country, right? Now, in another example, there is a group of two friends, right? They are going for a drive on a bike, and one is wearing helmet and other person is not wearing helmet because he is a Sikh. Here, as you all know, Punjabi Sikh people, they all already wear a turban. So he says that I have already worn my religious turban, that is my pagdi. So I will not wear helmet because I have already wearing a turban, right? So that is again means you cannot stop anybody to wear their religious what you can say, turban, caps. As we all know that Muslims, particularly when they are offering namaz or they have their offerings, they used to wear cap, right? They wear ladies wear burqas. So you cannot stop at a certain extent. You cannot stop somebody to not to wear that particular religious dress code, right? So that is the thing. Now, one another important thing is about the untouchability, right? One means one religious people, that one particular upper class people, say for example Hinduism. In Hinduism, upper class people, when they dominate the lower class people, and means they intervene, it means that people, they already dominate the lower class people, and this is the way how untouchability take places. Means they always feel that they are superior to those people, though those labor class people or those lower class people, and that is why the reason this untouchability got took place. Yes, so it is only because of one particular religion. That is not that that Hindu is believing that they are upper class, and they believe that Muslims are lower class people. No, one particular religion, that is Hindu, in Hinduism, one particular upper class people, they feel that they are upper class, and those who are at the labor class, or those who are working class people, or those who are manual scavenger, they believe that those people are lower class people, and they used to dominate on those people. That is why, that is all about the untouchability, right? Now here we will see about the intervention. So it refers to the state affairs to influence a particular matter in accordance with the principles of constitution. Yes, we have seen in the beginning also that in America, if I want a rented house, but if I am not following Christianity, if I am following Hinduism or Muslim, I will not be able to buy a house, or I will not be able to get a house in rent. But that is not the thing. In any democratic country, now that is not an issue. In any democratic country, that will be not a problem, because all the religious people who are residing and who has a right to vote, who are a citizen of that country, they have an equality to live in that country. So that's all for this understanding secularism. We end up our this chapter here, and soon we will see you with the notes of the previous all 4 chapters. Have a nice day. Take care. Thank you.